MapReduce Components. So now we are going to move towards the newer framework which is in the computing part. As we know, there are two problems existing in the Hadoop. One was storage and second one was processing. Storage was handled by the virtue of SDFS. Now processing is handled by virtue of something called MapReduce. Now let's understand what comprises this part of Hadoop framework. Now in the SDFS, as we saw, there are two major components, right? One was the name node and another was the data node. Just like we had a master-slave architecture, our name node is master node and our data node is slave node. Obviously, we have master and slave for the computing part too. For the computing part, MapReduce also. Now the slave is called a task tracker, whereas its master is called job tracker. It have two components, one is job tracker and another one is task tracker. In Hadoop, when we say a job, it's nothing but a MapReduce job. And the MapReduce job can be broken into several tasks depending upon the data locality principle. Where is data existing, we divide the job accordingly. Now given the term job tracker and the task tracker, I believe it's straightforward to you figure out what is the role of task tracker and what is the role of job tracker. So my question is, what is job of task tracker? And task tracker is a slave here, so what does it do? Okay, so here is the situation. We had a name node and we had a data node. Data node here, which is storing the data. We had name node here, which is managing the machine that stores the data. So this is the storage part. And there is also processing part, as we know job tracker and task tracker. So this is storage and this is processing. So obviously this guy task tracker going to execute the job, right? He has no relation to store, only data node store the data. Data node will give the data to the task tracker. Task tracker will responsible to execute the job on the data. So what is the job tracker will do now? What do you think? Job tracker will try and determine which jobs are scheduled to task tracker. It's nothing but a scheduler. It keeps all jobs in queue and assigning tasks to the task tracker. So it's easy function for a job tracker to schedule the jobs to one or more task trackers. Now, how do we think that job tracker schedules? Now let's say that the system has job tracker and 3 task trackers. Task trackers are connected to the job tracker. And let's say we have 3 jobs J1, J2 and J3. Suppose if you are job tracker doing the job of job tracker, how will you schedule this? Probably in some algorithm, it could be round robin. So first job will schedule to job tracker 1. This is job tracker 1, this is 2 and this is 3 as we assume. And J2 can be scheduled in task tracker 2 and J3 can be scheduled in task tracker 3, right? Or it can be any other algorithm such as fair share in order to balance a load. But the more prevalent is round robin because it's very simple in nature, or the scheduling algorithm is used by Hadoop. It is configurable also, but it is not programmatically changeable. You cannot change that some job will be scheduled in round robin whereas some other jobs will be scheduled in fair share. No, it cannot happen like that. Either all the jobs in the cluster go round robin or all the jobs go on the cluster as a fair share or capacity scheduler. This is why job tracker is master, who just takes input of list of jobs and blindly, as per the defined algorithm of scheduler, it chooses task tracker and keeps scheduling them. Now there is another beauty it has to do is task tracker can decide what is concept Hadoop is based upon. Moving computing to data or moving data to computing in Hadoop. Remember, it's moving computing to the data. So obviously every job will want to write or work on file, right? Where is the file stored? In the data node. So job of job tracker is to ensure that particular job which wants data is scheduled on that data node only. Okay, which gives the picture that the task tracker and data node usually runs on the same machine, where task tracker uses the data via data node. Okay, this is all about the computing part MapReduce.